Hey everyone! Now let me tell you that when it comes to learning English, sometimes you need to learn one word but use it in many different ways. That's right, sometimes using one word in different ways can help you explore different aspects of grammar and different ways of speaking. And that is why in today's lesson, I will teach you the different ways to use a very common word called would. Now, I'm sure most of you know just one way of saying it. In fact, a lot of people say, I would go here, I would do this. And probably your English is very basic because your understanding of this word is very limited. So, if you learn how to use would, well, what's going to happen? Would is a word that is very versatile. Versatile means you can use it in different ways. But when you do that, you are exposed to different grammatical forms. A lot of people want to learn lots of grammar. Well, this word in itself takes you to many grammatical forms, like you can use would in the conditional, you can use would to talk about past habits, you can use would to talk about probability when you are not certain about something. Well, isn't that great? Well, it certainly is. And in short, because you are using it in so many different ways, you end up expressing your thoughts and your ideas in different contexts. Now, a good English speaker will always know how to use English in different ways, in different scenarios. And knowing how to use would in different ways is a way of doing that. And that's how you sound like an advanced English speaker. And speaking of advanced English, you want to understand or you want to know how to do it correctly, which means if you want to learn advanced English, you must take or look at our English fluency course. Now, the word English fluency, the word itself suggests that this course helps you speak English naturally, helps you speak English fluently. Let me tell you that when we speak English, we tend to use bookish English. We sound very unnatural. But native English speakers, they have the habit of using some smart English phrases that makes them sound fluent and natural. And therefore, this course is divided into 3 parts. And these 3 parts have a total of 450 smart English phrases with almost 1000 example sentences. Believe me, they've been handpicked especially for you, and this course, as you can see, has been curated by myself and my fellow trainers Christine and Niharika. And let me tell you that this course can actually be available on all devices, but I want you to get more information by clicking onto the link in the description of this video. So do check it out. Okay? Well, coming back to using would to speak advanced English, let's see the first way to use would. You can use would when you are talking about conditional sentences. The word condition means if something happens, something else will happen as a result. Right? Therefore, the first sentence is, if I had more time, I would study harder. Right? The next one, I would buy a new car if I won the lottery, which means this will happen only if this happens. In other words, only if I buy a new car or only if I won a lottery, I would buy a new car. The next sentence, I would have met her if I had known she was in the city. I would have met her only if I had known she was in the city. On this condition, I would have met her. Or you can say, we would have got the 9 a.m. train if we had left our house on time. Okay, again, condition. If something happens, then something else would happen. But that's only one way of using would. Like I said, would helps you explore different parts of grammar. So let's look at the second way to use would, which is using would by talking about the future in the past. Now wait a minute, you're probably confused. How can I talk about the future in the past? Well, aren't these 2 different time frames? Well, they are, but sometimes when you are talking about something that you were saying in the past about the future, That's when you can use would. Let me give you an example. They said they would come to the party. Now, apparently, they said something in the past. Let's assume they said it last week. So, in the past, they talked about what they would do in the future. So, they said they would come to the party. So, last week at maybe 7 p.m. in the evening on a Thursday, they said that they would come for a party which was probably in the future, maybe at 9 p.m. Right? So, they're talking about the future in the past. Okay? Or you could say he promised he would call once he reached. In the past, he said he would call when? In the future, once he reached. Or you can say, I told them that I would send out an invitation. In the past, that is what you said. You talked about the future in the past. Okay, we look at another way of using would. Now here, you are using it exclusively to talk about some habits in the past. Okay, so in the past, you had some habits and you are using it exclusively to talk about that. The first expression or the first sentence, every morning she would wake up at 6 a.m. and go for a run. Well, some people have had certain habits. They probably, unfortunately, don't have such good habits anymore. So you can say in the morning, she would wake up. She's probably very lazy now, but this was a past habit. Or you could say, when I was a child, I would eat chocolate every day. Well, this is really true. I don't eat chocolate anymore because I'm watching my weight. But as a child, it was a past habit. I would eat chocolate every day. You can also say, during their college days, they'd go hiking in the woods. Now you're probably wondering, why have I not used would? Where is the would? Where has it gone? Well, if you notice, the would has been contracted just to a D. Because this word, they apostrophe D, is a combination of they plus would, which in English is called a contraction. But we don't say they would, we say they'd. So here is the would which has been contracted or made very small because you've combined it along with they. Okay, so during their college days, which is the past, they had a habit of going hiking in the woods. All right, we have some more ways of using would and getting better with the context of speaking. So our next way to use it is to indulge in very polite requests. Believe me, this word would really adds a touch of politeness and diplomacy when you speak. In fact, would is like this magic word which literally adds a touch of politeness when you are making a request. Don't believe me? Let's take a look. Would you mind passing me the salt, please? Now, if you simply say, can you pass me the salt? And if you compare that with, would you mind passing me the salt? Don't you feel like the second option is a lot more polite? Well, that's the magic of would. This word apparently makes your request sound polite. Or you could say, would you please help me with my homework? Okay, and the fact that you are adding a please to that definitely makes it sound a lot more diplomatic and polite. In an office setting, you could say, would you mind taking a look at my report? Well, when we are in the office, we tend to ask people to do certain things for us, right? You don't want to sound like you're demanding something out of somebody. And that's when you can say, would you mind taking a look at my report? Would you mind sending that email? Would you mind calling that vendor? Make sure you use would, the magic word for politeness. We'll go to our next way of using would, which is expressing preferences. Now, the word preferences comes from the word prefer. Prefer means you have two options and you are choosing one option over the other because you prefer or you choose this option. So, you will say, I would rather take a cab than walk to the office. You've got two options. You can take the cab, but you can also walk to the office, right? You choose to take the cab. And therefore, you use would with the word rather. It goes well when you are expressing preference. You can also say, I'd go with the pink one. It suits my skin tone. Now, a lot of us, women especially, we love to go shopping and we want to express our preference. We prefer only the best, and that is why we say, I would go with this. Okay, now if you notice, I haven't said I would while I was saying the sentence. In fact, I simply said I'd. So the would has been contracted to a d sound, and we simply say I'd go. The next sentence, I think they would prefer to sit at the back of the class. Well, they can sit anywhere, but they choose from all the other options to sit at the back of the class. We've got some more ways to use would, so let's keep on learning, which is polite suggestion. Now let me tell you that a polite request is asking for permission, but a polite suggestion is giving your opinion. It is telling people what you think is the better thing to do. Okay, now a lot of times when people give suggestions or when they give their opinions, it sounds like they are imposing their will on somebody else, and that's not polite. And therefore we need to use the would, the magic word, which infuses some politeness in our suggestion. So our sentence is, it would be a good idea to contact our vendors immediately. Okay, you're giving your opinion. You think it's a good idea. Now a lot of people say, I think it would be a good idea. But if you learn advanced English, you want to use would, which also sounds polite. Or we can say, I would suggest, now you're using the word even suggest, which is a suggestion, that you send them an email addressing your concerns. Okay, again, making it more polite by using would. Or I would go with the second option, it seems more economical. Okay, sometimes we say I would go as a way of saying that this is a better thing to do. This is something that I would do if I were you. Okay, that's why we say I would go with this option. It's the better one. All right, then, our last way of using would and the seventh way of using would is reported speech. Now, the word reported refers to the fact that it is not directly spoken. It has been reported, which means somebody else said it and you are merely reporting what somebody else said. In other words, indirect speech. And look at this sentence. It says, he claimed this would be a breakthrough in the medical field. I'm not saying it. I'm reporting what he said. So this guy, he said or he claimed this would be a breakthrough, which means a breakthrough is a huge change. It would cause a huge change in the medical field. Or you can say, he assured me. I didn't do it. He told me. He assured me that they would provide technical help. Okay? So when you buy a product, someone tells you that they will offer technical or after-sales services. So they assured me that they would do this. The next sentence, they said that it would take 3 days to get the application processed. Again, as you can see, they are all reported speeches where you are reporting what somebody else said. Okay, as you can see, guys, the word would is such a versatile word. If you learn this one word and you learn to use it in so many different contexts, your English can literally move from this level to this level because you are using a wide variety of grammatical forms. One word but 7 grammatical forms. Isn't that great? Well, that's what learning advanced English is all about. That is C1 English. But to make sure you learn even better and more effectively, make sure you click the link in the description of this video and look at our English fluency course, because that course is also designed to make your English sound natural, fluent, so that you sound like a native speaker. I'll be back with some more lessons. Until then, keep practicing the variety of ways that you can use would. I'll see you soon. Take care.